Hi, I hope everybody's doing well today. Um, I decided to talk about something that, from my travels, just a few things that I think might be beneficial for those, especially the new flyers, new travelers who may not know certain things, and maybe some things that I think you should be aware of, because I definitely had to learn it myself when I was there. So it was like a trial and error, right? Um, so I'm gonna start with one of the first things here. One of the things I learned about the Philippines, right, is it's not the same as uh, here in Toronto. For example, let's say Walmart or maybe like a No Frills, Food Basics, grocery store, or like like a Walmart. If you're looking for an item, could be electronic, could be food. You would call, take up your cell phone or your home landline, and you call. Someone asks you, say, "Hey, could you put me over to this department here? I just wanted to find out if you have this in stock right now. I'm looking for this, see if I can get some." And they would put the person who's in that department that would go check, and they would come back to the phone and say, yeah, we have some of that in stock right now, or no, we don't have any of that right now. So usually, with things like that, the convenience of being able to know beforehand if you should even leave to go to that place to go pick up what you would just call them for in the Philippines is not like that. And it's very funny because when I was there, I initially thought it was like that, but when I started to actually doing phone calls to do this to get the same information, the same kind of information, I was, you know, kind of hit with a rude awakening, which is so when I would first of all, I I had Globe when I first got there at the airport. I had bought a Globe SIM card. I chose that one. I thought it'd be the best brand to use. Well, it was in Manila, so I guess kind of is. But I heard that different parts of the country, Globe doesn't really work well. You might need a smart SIM card. So, but I'm not too interested in that because I haven't really traveled too much. Only Manila so far. Um, so what you learn is that you have your cell phone number. It's completely different from the landline number. It's very funny because not only is it very different from the landline number, they don't really allow cell phones to call landlines. So when I had to learn that through trial and error, and I had to ask a Filipino, so what is this? Why can't I do this, this, and that? And they tell me, oh, it's not, it doesn't really work like that. So there's like a special way to actually be able to dial a landline with a cell phone. They don't really connect to each other. So technically, you would have to go to find someone who has a landline to use that landline phone to then call that business you're trying to contact, which is funny. So I did get a chance to do it because I had someone help me to, they went to a Sari Sari store, and apparently this one Sari Sari store did have a landline, so we were able to go there and kind of make the call to to the place there to actually for them to actually answer the call. Now it's funny because even though after all the hassle of trying to get to that person who had the Sari Sari who had owned the Sari Sari store and had the landline, we still weren't able to get a hold of these people because they never answered the phone. So it's funny because you may be using your cell phone. First, you're trying to use your cell phone to call people, they don't answer. Then, when you actually finally are able to actually call these businesses with someone who has the landline, they don't answer. So either way, it's more of saying that there's no point of even trying to call because you're not really going to get an answer. I'm not sure if it's because of COVID, because I know usually even here when COVID happened, a lot of companies they kind of just they stopped really answering the phone. Like for example, we have Canadian Tire here, and when COVID happened, they would give you the runaround. No one in the store would want to answer the phone. They would just give it would be like a runaround, like uh, the lady who always it's like a pre-recorded voice. It would tell you to do this, and then send you right back to the beginning, right? So no one has to answer the call, and they won't get in trouble for it because it's COVID, right? funny. So I'm not sure if it's the same thing in the Philippines. If it's the reason why it's the way it is because of the COVID. So someone would have to comment on that. But I just know that it was a little bit inconvenient because it's always good to be able to just call a company or call a place and just to find out if they have what you need, and if there's a certain amount of money you have to bring, or things like that, little simple things like that, so that way you can kind of pre-prepare, or just know that, oh, I don't have to go to this location, maybe I can go to this location because they have what I need. So that's one thing I've learned. So if you're coming here and it's your first travel, just be aware of that. So just know if you have to go to a place to get something that and you want to call, just forget about calling. Just go. All right. And some places, if you look on the Google Maps and you see there's a business there, sometimes that business doesn't even exist anymore. So so you might have to do a lot of traveling. So be prepared for that, okay? But it's always good to just travel and just see the city anyway. So that's a benefit, but just be aware of that, okay? Um, Now another thing about landing, I would say, for you first time travelers, I mean, it could be other travelers who've only been maybe traveled for like a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks already, things like that. Now, if you plan, it's just pretty much this part is about if you plan to stay a long period of time. So you should kind of have an idea of that in your head. And if you don't, this is very important. You should know they are not really like you just come and then, like, for example, I mean, what I'm explaining here is for immigration. So it's not like you can just walk in and say, oh yeah, I stayed late, I just wanted, or you have a couple days before the visa expires, you go and you just want to say, oh yeah, it's almost done, I just want to see how much it is or how I can stay longer, extend my visa. In the Philippines, you can't just walk. Well, you can walk in, but it's not. They already have a set timer on it. So, the set timer is 7 days before the visa expires. All right, you gotta remember that 7 days before the visa expires. So, what that means is, because in immigration, you have the application you have to fill out. You have uh, express entry, and then you have the regular entry. So that means if you're there 7 days before it expires, that can be put as a regular entry because you haven't overstayed, so you don't have to worry about paying that fee already, right? So then you could put your how that works, regular entry, is you leave your passport there, I think, for like a week or so, or maybe a week or less, and then you come back and it's supposed to be stamped and extended, however many how much you paid for a certain amount of months. You could do a 1 month extension like that, 2 months, I think 6 months extension. Okay. Now, if you overstay before that month ends, and that means 7 days, you way past that 7 day mark, and you're already in that 7 day mark. So therefore, it's no longer you can no longer do a regular. Okay, you have to do express. So the express, I think, is an extra five. Well, I'm not estimating here. It's an extra 500 pesos for express. Okay, and then it's an overstay fee on top of that. That's another 500 pesos. So you're looking at 1,000 pesos on top. Okay, and so what I initially did, because I didn't know this. So when I had eventually decided to, okay, I'm gonna go to the immigration, um, I was already past the 7 days. So I was like, oh, I didn't know this. So I was just, kind of worrying a little bit, like, uh, what's gonna happen because you know I overstayed. I hope there's no issues here. But I want to make sure I definitely don't go past the last day of stay, right? But when I went there, it was different than I expected, obviously, because Filipinos are always so nice. When I went there, it was a very simple process. They gave me the application, I filled it out, and actually, it went even faster than I thought I expected as well. It was a very short stay inside there. I thought it'd be longer. Um, but yeah, you should keep that in mind. So what I so what I mean is the extra $2,000 on top, right? You wouldn't have to have paid that. So for me, extending it one more month, that was about, I think, 3,000 pesos and 30 cents. So 3,000, so 3030. Okay. And then on top of that, obviously, was the express fee that you have to do because you overstayed, and then the overstay fee, which is another 500 over top of that. um, so for those of you who, or maybe if you already know that in your head that, okay, I'm going to stay here more than 1 month, I want to stay here 2, 3 months or so. What I advise is as soon as you get there, like maybe the first week, you just go right to the immigration. As soon as you land, first I would say stay close to an immigration office. The one I went to was in Intramuros. That was like right beside Fort Santiago. So it was good for me because I was able to just go to Fort Santiago right after. Therefore, I can see some of their natural history as well, and then obviously get my visa extension done at the same time. Now, also, it's important to keep a note in that same immigration office. They do have the ACR card booth. So for those of you who plan to stay over 59 days, 60 days, keep in mind the ACR card is so very important. Okay, let me explain why. Now, it goes into another thing that I wanted to talk about, which is the GCash. All Filipinos pretty much use GCash, right? And it's such a convenient way of sending money or things like that. So now, if you plan to stay over 2 months, they're going to automatically push you to, once you pass that 59-day mark, 60-day mark, they're going to push you already to get the ACR card. And you should, because if you want a GCash, we can't do the same as Filipinos can do it. They can use their passports or whatever IDs they really have to kind of verify themselves and be able to use it properly. But we, as foreigners, have to get the ACR card, okay? Now, after you pass that mark of 60 days, you want to just go to the office right away as well and get get the ACR card done quickly as possible so you can get that ID and verify your GCash. Why? Because especially if you want to stay there long term and you want to make things more simple, um, well, I was going to say if you're not using like certain type of banking, like just having a regular bank, and even the ACR card will work great with opening a bank in the Philippines as well. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. But I mean, like transferring money from, let's say, your home country bank to over here. GCash would be one of the best ways to kind of hold it. But there's always a tip that most Filipinos will tell you is do not keep much pesos in the GCash. They always say there's a lot of scamming going on there, so you just kind of want to be careful. So I would advise maybe keeping only like 4,000 pesos inside the GCash and just have that in there just in case, right? Obviously, it's better to just have pesos in hand because it's a peso economy and pesos are running. They're more frequent than people using a credit card, bank card. You don't really want to use those things. That might be kind of bad. So just keep that in mind, okay? Now, ACR card is very important. So if you're knowing you're going to stay over 2 months, you want to time the date to go get the ACR card right away. You want to get a GCash, okay? Now, the reason why I like the thought of GCash is just in case you're planning to get a place for yourself there in the Philippines. The best way to pay a landlord if you're going to be renting is probably from GCash because then you can record all payments and your landlord, the landlord has your cell phone number. You want to make sure you give them your cell phone, which will be obviously be a Filipino number because GCash with the Filipino GCash. All right. Apart from that, I just think it's a good idea just to make sure you get like these simple things. Even if you don't want to, I think you should if you plan to stay a long time. A bank, a GCash, ACR card. So I would say this is for people because in order to get a bank, you technically have to have a form of ID. Okay, they're gonna expect this. So you kind of just put them all together after 60 days, 59, 60 days, ACR, then bank, and also verifying your GCash. These are some things I think are very important, and it'll make you feel more like a Filipino as well. especially if you love the culture, right? So yeah, um, definitely keep this in mind. These are things that I've kind of ran into and kind of had to learn trial and error. So with this information, it can kind of get you ahead of the game, and you'll know exactly what to do, and you'll already be organized on those things, which are very small, but they can be very important. Okay. Now, this would definitely help you. So definitely just keep them in mind. Okay. Also, I'm going to add in here um, the Grab. Grab is one of the best things, but as foreigners, obviously, you already have the money to kind of pay for the Grab easier. But I think it's also important that you learn how to use the basic transit with others, the locals, you know, to see more of the culture, which means the jeepneys, the tricycles, okay? Even though they might charge you 5 peso, 10 pesos extra, it's fine, you should always tip them as well. Tipping, I think, is very important, especially as a foreigner. You should be tipping. Even if it's 5, 10 pesos, you should still be tipping. I always made sure I tipped the Grab drivers. Now, the reason why I think it's best for you to get the Grab app as soon as, even before you get there, um, it's because you know the exact prices. So you could choose to just keep the exact price they show you on the app for your destination, or you can give a tip on top of whatever originally is on there. Okay. Now, the reason why Grab app is so important, obviously, because once you get from the airport, you have all your luggage with you. It's going to be hard to get those things on a jeepney or a tricycle. So the Grab is kind of the most important when you first get there. But after you get to your hotel and you have all your big stuff in your room or your place, if you already have a place there, you don't have to worry about um, getting a Grab too much anymore, unless you're far from somewhere that, it really depends. But what I mean by far is like distance wise to getting to a transportation like a tricycle or a jeepney, which are some places like in the provinces like that. But in the city, obviously, they usually have jeepneys and tricycles everywhere. So yeah, Grab app, definitely important. You should download that one beforehand right away. Um, yeah. Also, through daily, what I mean by daily is like I'm talking about specifically like groceries and simple things like laundry. What else would be common? Even just going to the 7-Eleven, you know. Um, a good amount of money to have in your pocket. I don't think you should carry anything more than like 2,000 pesos, to be honest. I mean, I know some people want to go to the restaurants and stuff like that, which could be a little more pricey. You might be paying like a 3,000 pesos, depending on if you're not alone. If it's just you and somebody else, you might be paying like maybe 3,000 pesos. But if it's just you alone, you might be paying 1,000 pesos for certain restaurants. Now, if you're talking about like a fast food like Jollibee or McDonald's, KFC, you're not paying 1,000 pesos. For your meal, you're probably only paying like 500 pesos or less, because usually the smallest meal would be like, let's say, uh, KFC or Jollibee. You're getting a rice and maybe 1 or 2 pieces of chicken. That's going to cost you maybe 150, 200 peso, right? So if you want to add more to your meal, obviously, you're probably not going to be paying more than like 500 pesos. So the reason why I say carrying like 1,000, 2,000 on you is because if you're like me, when I was there, I would usually go to their supermarket, which is, well, the Shopwise was one of the first places I was introduced to in Makati because it was right next door. I just had to walk 1 minute. In one of my past videos there, if you watch it, you'll see it literally was my hotel is right here, and I just had to walk across the street, and the Shopwise is right there. It was the most convenient thing ever. Now, the more main one, Shopwise is not as main. The more main one is the Pure Gold. Okay, so it's usually almost on every corner. It's so frequent there. Um, you want 1,000 pesos, 2,000 pesos is more than enough. I mean, even for a week or 2 weeks almost, because depending on how you shop, me, I would buy like a big bag of rice, right? As well as meat, of course, half kilo of meat, whether it be fish, pork, chicken. Um, yeah, and then you get your drinks if you want to drink, whether it be just sodas or juice, alcohol if you like, because they always have their Red Horse there, their mules, San Miguel drinks as well, um, MP Light, Emperador lights. If you don't know the MP lights, you can check out that song as well. It's a good one. Um, yeah, so 1,000, 2,000 pesos, you could pretty much get around the whole city and back home safely with just 1,000 pesos, pretty much, because jeepneys, a jeepney ride from like one end to the next end is like maybe 15, 16 peso, and the LRT from one end to the next end, I think is roughly 25 peso to go from one end to the next end. So even then, it's still within way under 1,000 peso, right? The only one that will be more expensive is the Grab. But even still with the Grab, you could probably drive from one end of the city to the next end, maybe with for 500, 600, 700 peso. So I'll just keep that in mind. In pocket during the day for going out, you should only have maybe 1,000, 2,000 pesos in pocket. It's more than enough to have. If you have way extra than that, it's actually kind of excessive, to be honest. But it's totally up to you. But I would say it's probably the safest bet just to keep 1,000, 2,000 in pocket. I must say, uh, one of the things that really surprised me about Philippines is just how much it's almost like American culture to a degree. And what I mean by that is simply um, their number one sport is basketball. That's like being in America, right? And you see, you go to certain places, everybody's playing ball. They all love basketball. Everybody's trying to be the next Jordan. Philippines is like the same, so it's a really good way to connect there. If you like basketball, you can probably talk to them right away, the guys. If you want to bond with Filipino guys, you probably talk to them about basketball. Right now, you're automatically bonding right there. It's a good starter for you. Just talk to regular Filipino guys on the street, just to learn about more about the culture. It's good to talk to them because they can definitely help you. Okay. Um, Next is the music. A lot of them love rap, hip hop music, things like that. So and they also love singing. So they don't just love that music alone. Obviously, they sing like everything. Country, you just walk around, so you hear people have their music loud and they'll be singing. And it's not just them. Like almost everybody's singing. Karaoke is like a big thing in the Philippines. So that means like karaoke machines. Majority of people have karaoke machines, whether it be a small karaoke machine they have, a big one, they have their cell phones, they read the words off the cell phone and sing at the same time. Um, and they always usually like to add in snacks, whether it be some type of chips. They have this thing, I think it's called chicken blood. They cook chicken blood. Um, a lot of them like to drink soju and mix it, or they have the Red Horse, or they have the MP lights. Okay, now, so you should be. If you love this thing, you'll definitely enjoy it. If you love to drink and sing, it's even better for you. You'll enjoy it a lot. People are so very very welcoming. So you can definitely expect that you'll probably feel like you're gonna be at home right away. Okay. Now, if I were to talk about dating a Filipina now, okay, for a lot of y'all travelers out there, passport bros, just regular travelers, um, the experience with a Filipino now, it will be very relaxing because the Philippines is such a relaxing place when you get there. Being made felt so welcome by others. You know, you're dating a Filipino, you're taking her to even the simplest places. You could take her somewhere simple if you want to. It doesn't have to be a restaurant. If you could take her to a McDo. They call McDonald's Macdo. So keep that in mind. Macdo. The Jollibees is always good too. The kids love Jollibees as well, right? Um, just a simple date. It could be drinks is always good too. Um, yeah, it's pretty quite simple experience. Um, you know. Definitely would enjoy it, you know, if you find a nice girl. But that's the thing, most night Filipinos are so very nice. So if you're dating one, then expect that most likely she's gonna be nice. If you find a bad one, you're gonna have to do a little bit more searching and a little bit more studying of what a good Filipina is, because you know, you're to find a bad one is kind of like almost like a trick, because most of them they'll be very nice to you either way. Um, so yeah, so yeah, you know, if you enjoy my little talks, if you've been enjoying my videos as well, you know, up and coming YouTuber, you know, I've been enjoying the traveling, so I thought I'd share that with everybody else. I do have a lot planned for this channel, okay? Um, so it might not be some of it might be some of the basic places that people go to. I have a couple destinations that obviously many YouTubers have been doing, but also places that I do plan to go that should not be so common as well. So you have to stay tuned for that, and you have to be prepared to watch as well. It's going to be quite an adventure what I got planned. But as always, as you listen to these videos, I'm looking to hear more from you who watch me, okay? So that means leaving comments for me to read, but what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see, all right, from me in these videos, what you want to see more of, okay? I look for your feedback. It's very important, all right? So for me to give you this content, for you to enjoy this with me, this journey here, I look forward to hearing from you, okay? And don't forget to like the video as well, okay? The likes help, obviously, the algorithm, as you know, if you haven't watched other channels, getting this in the algorithm so others can enjoy it with you, and we can get a nice community here, okay? Thank you so much for watching, all right?